Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome to New Life Live. Again, Chris Williams here, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have pastor extraordinaire Jim Burns here, as well as, I say prolific, but I really mean very, very helpful author. Yes. And Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, and thank you. I don't even know what the word prolific means, so people think I'm all smart.
Well, you do a lot of what you do.
Yeah.
That's the prolific part, yes,
right.
And we love it. And we have also author that is incredibly helpful, and licensed psychologist, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Hello.
Hi, Jill.
Hi. Hi, guys.
I'm very curious. What's on your mind today? What do you have for us?
Well, I'm thinking about what's talking got to do with it.
Okay.
So
yes.
something pretty basic.
Could you sing that song?
Yeah.
What's talking?
Something pretty basic that we talk about all the time is kind of the art of talking. And when we think about therapy way back when it first began, it was called the talking cure.
Oh, yeah,
right? That Freud discovered in treating often women that were seen as hysterical and had medical conditions that were then later labeled as conversion disorder, right? So out of this, he discovered that actually talking is helpful and it alleviated symptoms. So, and people ask all the time, or you hear people say, well, why do I want to go to therapy and just talk? Like, how is talking going to help? Well, it's really a first line intervention. It's not 100% complete, but it's what we've got, right?
Yes.
Using our voices is really important. And we all know that what doesn't get talked about gets acted out in life.
Yeah, that's
right?
really good. Because it's all communication. Yeah.
So we, as imperfect as it is, we have to find a way to utilize it. And so many things can be alleviated by having a conversation, right? By engaging in that. And now this is different than what I call like word vomit.
Yes.
There are some people that just talk nonstop and they fill the space,
Yes.
right? Those people, we need them to stop talking, please, right? And to be able to listen and take in, because that becomes a more defensive posture against fears and intimacy and all of that. So talking that is productive, right? And it's usually talking in the presence of another who is safe and who can be non-judgmental and non-critical, where we feel free to express, helps us hear our own thoughts. As we say them out loud, we then create a sense of meaning, right?
Yes.
And we make sense of our experiences. And we need this from the time we are little. That's where we need our parents to be mirroring back to us. And I think about just even in child rearing, if I could change one thing, I would listen more and talk less to my kids, get them talking, because again, that's how we know what we think. So, and now I'm hearing the music, we're running out of time. So I don't know about you guys, but when I'm really upset and hurting, I need people that I can reach out to. I mean, first I'm crying out to God, but then I need people where I can just voice these things, and it really builds me up. And we know that talking is good for the brain. There's all kinds of benefits from that, and it's one form of therapy that...
And God created us as deeply relational beings with a deep need for connection. And disconnection creates a lot of problems.
Sure does.
Connection provides a lot of solutions. So communication is our primary way of connection. And what a powerful reminder, Jill, that becoming better communicators creates better living.
Yeah.
So we're going to help you right when we come back after this.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I've had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us. It's myself, Chris Williams, Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and now it's also Tara in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tara, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for calling. What's going on?
I have a question. My child has been in and out of rehab, I think, 4 times. And we have like this cycle. It's like a hamster on a wheel type of cycle, where she comes home and it's good for a while and he looks for a job. And I guess so. My question is there another program to help her when she's out of rehab to learn how to grow self-esteem, to learn how to do an interview, to get a job? It seems like, she gets sober and things are looking good, but then she still has anxiety from, her lifestyle is, has created a lot of, self-doubt and depression, and she can't relate.
Yes.
And my thing is, like, what can we do as the next step to make her a successful part of society and move on and not spiral in this sort of hamster wheel that we've got going on?
Well, first and foremost, Tara, I'm really impressed with you recognizing the pattern that's happening. And that you're not chasing what I call chasing symptoms. You're not chasing behaviors like, oh, we got a whole pattern going on here, a cycle going on here. And you're also recognizing that, hey, there's something missing. And I'll start with a principle, and then I'm going to check in with Jim on this and obviously Jill. But there is a profound difference between sobriety and recovery. And we don't give that difference enough credence. Because sobriety is simply not using an addictive substance or participating in an addictive behavior. But recovery teaches us how to live sober, how to live without it, right? And there's that part that you're speaking to that your daughter is missing. And so, so as mom, it's like the question is, what do we do now? So, Jim, what do we do now?
Well, it's funny. I wrote the word recovery right here because, the rehab is great. It gets you off whatever you're doing, and it gives you some tools. But now it's the lifelong recovery.
Yeah.
And I find, actually, Tara, I have found that some of the really good rehab centers, they don't move them back home. You said that she comes home. They actually move them to a sober living home or a halfway, because a lot of the halfway houses or what they now call sober living homes, they actually teach you and give you the skills while you're continuing to, go through that process of recovery. And sometimes that's a year, 2-year, process.
Yes, and that is what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want her to. Not that I don't want her to come home. Don't take me the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah.
I want her to
But you want
to some sort of program afterwards, a transitional. Teach her how to become. Absolutely, yes.
No, you got it. And you know what? My guess is if she went through a good rehab, they are suggesting that, or at least they know those. You live in an area that would have tons of good sober living experiences. And again, they're going to teach you They need to put structure into it. The sober living home does that. You get a relationship with her because you're still going to see her and all those kind of things. But they'll they'll help you do the work, and especially a good one is going to include you sometimes in the family healing when that's appropriate. So I'd go back and look at these other programs. There's lots of great programs out there. And none of them is perfect, of course, because, again, you're dealing with an addict who has other addicts that, they're living or they're roommates. So, there's issues there.
Right.
But they do exactly what you're hoping for. And you know what? They work. If the person will work that process and work that recovery, then, honestly, there's some good results with it.
Yeah.
Tara, how old did you say your daughter was? I missed that.
She's 23.
She's 23. Okay, so she's still in the age of separating and individuating, and you said she's been in 4 rehabs. So she
That's
was
correct.
How old at the first rehab?
She was 14 years old.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. So she's kind of what ends up being she's kind of a professional rehabber, right? She knows the ropes, she knows the lingo, and so the more times you go, you can go through the motions, but what you're wanting is something to really dig down deep and to stick this time.
Correct.
Right? And I'm hearing, this is why you're still involved in her life, because to the degree that you are, because she hasn't launched yet. This isn't like she's 33 years old, right?
Exactly. Yes.
But I think at 20...
And because of
Go ahead.
because of how early she became addicted to the hard drugs, she still, in a lot of ways, is still 14, 15, 16 years old.
Absolutely is. And so it's going to be a slow process. But if you keep doing kind of the same things and it's not helping, okay, we need to do more. And sometimes for some people, it takes as long as it takes, right? It takes as many treatments, programs. But the idea is for her to start taking more responsibility for her recovery, and you guys to begin taking less responsibility. And so I like the idea that at 23, it's like, this time, sweetheart, you don't get to come home, right? That we realize...
Exactly where I'm,
Yeah, we realize our part in maybe, keeping you feeling young. And so I like what you said about the transitional programs where it's kind of a step down and then you do sober living and they make you have a job and do all the things that
and
you need to do
what
to
happens
launch.
when they're young is we enable them, and when they're 14 we're enabling them.
Well,
but she learned how to quit coping with stress and her pain at 14. Because what she did was she medicated with those drugs. So now as she begins to move to become her own person, it's going to be so key for you to say, not treat her the same way as when she was 14. So, at this point, we love you so much, but you're not welcome to come home until you go through a process like a year-long program. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can learn
That's
those.
exactly what I was looking into.
That's what you can do.
A year-long program that they...
That's what you do. But you've got
the year-long program.
You've got to give her the passport to adulthood because, again, she's not really acting like an adult. She's not an adult. And so by you giving her the passport to adulthood and saying, okay, babe, now it's on your own, that actually may create the crisis in her own life that'll cause her to go get the deeper help. Especially if she thinks, and I'm not sure this is the case with you, but if she thinks that, well, mom and dad are going to, I'll get to come home and mom will cook my favorite meals and,
She's estranged from her father, so he's not. He was. Was abusive.
Yeah. So Tara, we're getting some background because if typically a person is using harder drugs, more potent drugs at a younger age,
there's more going on.
Is indicative of the intensity of pain in which they're carrying on the inside. And so
that's correct.
Here's the reality of that challenge. Once you get through, and you've already experienced this, you already talked about this, once you get through the initial portion of sobriety, you enter into all of the things that you're medicating. If none of those things have been healed and worked through, all you're going to do is return to what has worked before. And so
Correct.
this is just building the case that you're looking for and that you're already engaged in, and that anything less than a year is way too early. You know,
That's what I told her.
yeah, because working with many different people struggling with addiction, I tell them oftentimes they do want to get into, for instance, their trauma work. But I'm like, I can't get you into your trauma work until you have some really good sobriety and recovery behind you, because once we start touching that pain, you're going to want to go back and medicate it really, really quickly. I don't want to re-trigger your addiction by getting you into the necessary work of trauma recovery, of touching your pain. Obviously, we're going to look at things like depression and anxiety, but we don't know if that is drug-induced or if that is some other source. So all of that stuff takes a lot of time. And what I want to just encourage you is continue to do research in programs that will do that long-term, multifaceted work of looking under the hood and much deeper issues as she makes these progressions through her recovery process. There's one other thing. Tara, I don't know if you're in your own recovery.
I actually have a counselor that I found through you guys.
Awesome.
And I have been making excuses about my schedule and not getting to Al-Anon, but making it a priority because of the situation.
You know, I tell parents this all the time. The best thing you can do for your child's recovery, whether they're in it or not, is be in your own recovery.
Right.
You know, so I would just continue
I agree.
to make that number one priority. And I just want to encourage you as well. We have the Courage to Change conference coming up on October 5th. It's an online conference. One of the topics we're going to really hit on is understanding and loving our family member, our loved one who is struggling with addiction. We'll look at areas of codependency. We'll also look at areas of depression. But we're going to really try to do a good, holistic approach here to life recovery. And that's what we want.
Awesome.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I'm going to waive the fee for you. I'm just going to give you a registration to that conference on October 5th. Again, the Courage, no problem whatsoever. And Tara, we're also going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible. And hoping that is going, not hoping, I know that is going to be a great resource in your ongoing recovery and the love that you have for your daughters. One other thing that I'll mention, Tara, is that we are also connected with some good treatment centers throughout the country. So if our call center, if you get online, they can transfer you over to our call center and they can help you get connected as well. And last, I got to say, being a single mom, working through issues of an adult child and a teenage child with addiction is really difficult. So the support that you need, Tara, is great and is well needed, and you definitely deserve it. Again, I'd mentioned just now that the Life Recovery, that we have a Life Recovery resources, and one of those resources is our Courage to Change conference coming up October 5th. So if that's something that you want to get connected with, go online to newlife.com, sign up today. It's under our events tab, and we'd love for you to be able to join us for that. Because this is, I think, a natural time. The busyness of summer is coming to an end. School is starting, and the holidays are right around the corner. And this is the gap in time where it is good to look at our own lives. It is good to examine what's going on and engaging in our own personal growth work. And maybe that looks like healing. Maybe that looks like recovery. It looks like a lot of different things. But we want to encourage you to explore our life recovery and do something about it. Give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have so many different resources there. But it also could look like attending one of our intensives. And so the Emotional Freedom Workshop is coming up here, and that's online September 14th. If there's an area of life, the way I talk about emotional freedom and why I absolutely love being a part of that is because there's these areas of life that we just get stuck in. And we try these different things, and we keep circling the mountain, and it's really painful. If you're stuck in an issue like that, go online today to newlife.com, sign up for the Emotional Freedom Workshop. We will help you uncover that, get really clear on what's going on inside of your life, and then give you some great resources to move forward on that. And then I also want to mention, coming up October 25th, the Intimacy in Marriage Workshop that's going to be held in Dallas. And marriage is always a thing that needs care and deep care. And sometimes when it doesn't, or we're careless, we end up with a marriage in crisis. If your marriage is in crisis or your marriage needs more care, the Intimacy in Marriage Workshop in Intensive in Dallas will be a great experience for you to reconnect at a much deeper level, similar to what you were talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
We'll be back right after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would have getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. You know, I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, we are so glad that you're with us today, and we are also glad that Daryl is with us today, listening in Dallas, Texas, on KWRD. Daryl, how you doing today, man?
Doing well, doing very well, trying to avoid the heat a little bit, but doing okay.
There's a lot of that out there, a lot of that heat out there today.
Even here.
Yes.
Well, our heat is different than Texas heat, though.
Yeah, that is true.
I was complaining because it was 79. And somebody said, wait, I'm in Texas, and right now it's 97. And, you know.
And the humidity and all that stuff. So, but Daryl, what's going on in your life, man?
A lot, actually. A whole lot. But I did the main reason I was calling was for one aspect of everything that I have going on. Was my daughter. She's soon to be 18. And the unfortunate part is there have been years of gaps between me being able to see her due to her mother. She lives in Milwaukee with her mom. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of nothing against anybody from Milwaukee, but that city can be pretty rough. And you know, the pregnancy rates amongst the youth, and I do a lot of research on this because I do videos, but I am not okay with that city and how the young people are coming up. And so, being that her mother is so liberated, she lets her watch any kind of content on TV, listen to any kind of music, and I just don't want my daughter to be a statistic. And the problem for me is that I don't have access to her the way I need to. She keeps her from me. it had been, 12 and a half years between her being 6 months old and turning 13. That was the biggest gap between me seeing her. And long story short, we knew each other in high school. We were careless, unfortunately, and I stepped up and said, you know what, we need to make this right. I'm going to do the right thing. So we became engaged, and we decided to be celibate until we got married. I mean, some people say it was too late, but hey, you got to start somewhere. So I said, look, let's try to do it the right way this time. And I ended up finding out that I was the only one that decided to walk that path. And she had entertained a number of men behind my back, and I found out about it a week before we were to be married. And she left. And ever since then, I wasn't able to see my child. And she was 6 months old at the time. And I kind of strong-armed her to let me come up there to Milwaukee when she turned 13 to see her. And it was just both of us were shell-shocked. I mean, she hadn't told her anything about me. She didn't even let her know that I was sending money, buying her school supplies, fitting her clothes, all these things that I was doing from a distance. She'd never told her that I was doing these things. So in her mind, I never did a thing for her. And that hurts, you know?
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah.
And so as much as she says, look, I never badmouthed you, yeah, but you didn't speak good of me either.
Yeah.
So that's almost
so you have this estranged relationship with your 17, soon to be 18-year-old daughter that doesn't have accurate information about who you are, what you've done for her. And so Daryl, and you have concerns for her as well, but Daryl, so what's the question for us? How can we help you today?
What do I need to do? You know, what else can I do? You know, I'm going through her mother now to talk to her. She has a cell phone of her own, which I paid for.
Yeah.
And I can't even talk to her on it because they changed their phone number and they won't give me her new number.
Okay.
So now I'm having to go through her mother to communicate with her, but that's when she feels like communicating with me. So unless I'm sending her money, which, you know, it's a little harder to do nowadays.
Yeah.
I've been going through a lot, but unless I'm sending her money, she has nothing to say.
Well, let us.
So I don't
yeah.
like that.
So Daryl, let us jump in. Let us help you out here. So Jill, what do you think?
Oh, Daryl, I really feel for you. That's such a heartbreaking situation. All of your concerns about her certainly come from a father's heart. Unfortunately, you've not been allowed to be a father, right? You've just been a piggy bank for them. And mom has had a lot of influence on your daughter. So I wouldn't recommend coming in and criticizing mom for all the things she lets her do, because right now you really don't have a say-so. It's about finding a way to connect with your daughter. And she's going to be an adult soon. And I think having any access you can and utilizing what you can, even though it's completely not fair and not right, you got to keep whatever access you can open. And be careful about coming on too strong, right? Be careful about resentment towards mom when you are speaking with the daughter. And, you know, showing interest in her, I think, is really important. And planning when you can see her next. Mm-hmm. Right? Because as much as you can be in front of her, you've got to come in like, you know, an ally, a supporter, someone who cares about her, but isn't having a lot of demands yourself other than you want to see her.
Yeah.
18 is the big word here, Daryl. 18, she becomes an adult, and you're not trying to be her mom's best friend, but you do want a relationship with her. And I've got a couple of just real practical thoughts. Does she have a social media account? If you don't know that, you could easily find out if she's got an Instagram account, or maybe a lot of kids her age don't have a Facebook account. But, you know, find out, learn about her. And actually, once she's 18, I would communicate through her, maybe even through a DM or different ways of doing that. And you'll find more out about her. What are her interests? And then connect that way. And you might have to, you know, pay for a flight to Milwaukee and get out there once she's 18, and you can spend some, you know, fun time with her, not intense time.
That's a good point. And what she's actually into dancing like I am, which is pretty amazing. She's a natural dancer the same way I am, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that when I saw that she had a page where she does the dancing on there, I asked her, "Hey, do you have a page?"
Well, hold on, just Daryl, hold on just a minute, man, because we're going to head to a break right now, but we're going to come back right after this. Thank you so much for giving us a call, and we're going to help you out a little bit more right after this.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First, it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us. We're talking with Daryl in Dallas, Texas. And Daryl, you've just been in this really, really tough situation where you have tried to be a financial support to your daughter, but really not able to be an active part of her life. And so the question is, what do we do now? Right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in because there's a couple of things I think are really important here. Is that, Daryl, it's really important that regardless of whether the information is accurate or not accurate, you need to see life through your daughter's eyes. If you're going to have a chance at having a relationship with her, you're going to have to really, really understand her perspective. And I know that I think for you, this is going to require a lot of grief. Because you've lost out on that opportunity, which is incredibly painful. But one of the subtle things I heard is that you're worried about her choices. You're worried about her well-being. You're worried about her development. And so what the tendency will be there is to jump in and father her. Let me use some of my own story. Very, very different circumstances. But for different reasons, my father wasn't able to be an active part of most of my childhood. And so when he did jump in and tried to parent me, it made my skin crawl. I was like, well, no, that ship has sailed.
He hadn't earned the right.
Nah, the trust wasn't there.
Right.
You know, and so, but when he really sought to connect with me, not ever to correct me, but to connect with me. And I think that that's the thing that, like, I love you're hearing that, hey, I'm seeing that she's a dancer. And I would just say these really small, what I call bids for connection, which is just encouragement. Hey, I love that you're dancing. You know,
right.
Just and hey, and just learning about her. I'm here to learn about you and who you are. And first start by being a proud father and a brokenhearted father.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, grief with others, proud with her.
Yes. Oh, Jill, that's the line right there. Daryl, did you hear that?
I heard that.
All right. Grief with others, pride with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made the Milwaukee trip, when I did go up there, that's what made it so bittersweet, because I went up there for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great because on that because the first 2 days were about her and her friends, because it was her birthday weekend, and that last day was not just us, because she didn't want to be with me without her mom, which I understood. I got it, but we did get a chance to talk, and that was great. She showed me her dance videos.
That's
I showed
awesome.
Her mine.
Yeah.
We connected based on that. She figured out, I was wondering why I say these things and do these things. I was wondering where I got my mannerisms from.
Yeah.
And it was great. We connected. It was amazing.
So Daryl, that's
that is awesome.
But
you got to
that's
play off that.
Yes. So you got to manage your expectations now, because what we have here is something really, really good. She wants to know you.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to know her father. But this is why it's key to see life through her eyes. But she's also scared and hurt and has her own history of feelings and experiences. Whether they're based on accurate information or not really doesn't matter. It's that they're real to her. And so keep with those small bids for connection where you can. Stay open to what she may be experiencing. And in that process, again, just continue to connect with her. It's just such a huge reminder that there is no substitute for dad.
No, there isn't. And the latter half of life, or of their growing up, they really need dad more.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Right? So not all is lost. I mean, find a dance show that you can take her and a friend to.
Yes.
Right? And just keep showing up and just being available without an agenda, Daryl.
Oh, that's really good, without an agenda.
Yeah. And the ship has sailed to be the father of a child and a teenager, but the ship hasn't sailed to be a father of an adult, and that means you have to reinvent the relationship, even in your mind, because you can't treat her like she's a child or a teenager. She is a teenager right now, but as she becomes an adult, then that relationship becomes more of a, it's always your dad, and she's going to figure that out in greater ways. But at the same time, it's two adults talking, so you're not talking to a child, you're talking adult to adult, and that's a critical difference for her. And I think that's something you'll want to keep in the back of your mind as you realize, Jill said it on another call, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. You happen to jump into the marathon kind of late in her life.
But giving her the respect of the age that she's at now, and let her experience the difference in what she thinks is true and what actually is true, instead of you telling her.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Oh, so Daryl.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if it's her mother who invited me or if she wants me to come personally. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know. The reason I say that is because when I did come to Milwaukee, I'm not quite sure if she knew I was really coming. But we had a good time anyway. So I'm not worried about that now.
and I would honestly. Oh, go ahead, Daryl.
Her mother invited me to her graduation, which is coming not this year, but next year.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm a little nervous myself because I want her to want me there, and I don't want to
Yeah. So Daryl, I'll just say this, man. Don't worry about the motivation and where it comes from. If you have a door that opens to connection with her, just walk through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just show up. She may not be able to admit that she wants you there.
Yeah. That's really good.
But the right thing to do is to show up.
Yeah.
And Daryl, I think you need to be going to Milwaukee every 6 months.
Absolutely. You need to be a little bit more assertive in your pursuit of her in this. And so, Daryl, we're going to send you a copy of Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Even though the circumstances that you'll read in that book will be different than yours, there are some really good principles in there to how to connect with our kids who now enter into adulthood. And we cheer you on. Thank you so much for calling in with this. And we want to encourage you more and more and more to pursue that daughter of yours, and there is never too late to begin anew with a relationship. So, again, wish you well. And now we're going to go to Michael, listening in Tacoma, Washington on Sirius XM. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm tired.
well, what's making you tired? What's the source of the fatigue?
Well, for 39 years I've been in a marriage, and it was about 3 years ago that I discovered that God revealed to me through some circumstances that my wife is a narcissist. And it has just been exhausting. Yeah. And I'm just looking for some advice on how to try to, deal with it. I've always done things on my own. A rough childhood made me depend upon myself. And I made a vow at 10 years old that my kids would never have to go what I went through. Yet this woman took that from me. And yet I fought with tooth and nail to be both mother and father.
Daryl, let me jump in. What did her narcissism, or what does her narcissism actually look like?
Oh, geez. I call it the devil's disease. It honestly, to me, looks like a form of possession.
But identify the behavior. Yeah. What is relationally damaging that she does?
Well, I think the biggest thing, one of the things that I've recognized is the horrible dysfunctional coping mechanisms I developed as a kid to survive. She's a constant trigger to those through, undermining me. She's always so self-focused, and anything that I want or need, well, forget that. And that's a total reminder of my mother, who was just totally, it's like a trigger, because my mother was all about herself. My mother finally even gave me and my brothers away to a stranger. And that kind of stuff, abandonment of her kids, which is what my mother did also. That's a tough one.
Well, the reason I ask this is because I'm not saying she's not a narcissist. I'm just saying when we use that term, it tends to gloss over, ironically enough, being able to identify what are the things that this person does or is doing that actually hurts me.
Right. It kind of writes them off, and it's just a cutoff.
It's just a cutoff. And I don't think that provides us a lot of wisdom. Because wisdom is really in the details. And then when we can identify that and communicate that, but also learn this is where I need to set boundaries, different things like that. So, Daryl, is there a question for us? What question can we...
Michael.
Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you for correcting. So sorry about that, Michael. Michael, what's the question for us? How can we help you?
Well, I have this book that was written by Stephen Arterburn and Patricia Coleman about loving somebody with narcissism.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, let me do this. I know I asked the question, but I got to go to a break right now. But I want you to think about that question when we come back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
5 years ago, I had been in porn addiction, and I'd had a sexual relationship out of marriage.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography. Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
It was the first time I'd ever divulged the sin that I had.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
I found a confidential comfort that was able to put a flame to a start of a healing process.
Now the Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C., September 20th through the 22nd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, New Life. They're the redeemed, man. Thank you.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're so glad that you're with us. We're talking with Michael in Tacoma, Washington. And Michael, you are in a very painful marriage that seemed to replicate a painful childhood. And so as I asked you to consider a question when you went to break, is there a question for us today about what you can do about this, your situation?
Well, yeah, I was looking for advice. The day that I finally discovered that this was her for real, because the Lord really revealed this to me. I read this passage out of chapter 6. I finally decided to read this book. And then I go, this is her. I mean, there's no denying this anymore. And then it had a paragraph that said, as a victim survivor with this emotional, verbal, sexual, which he does all those kinds of things, and PTSD, you'll need help of a trauma-trained psychotherapist to move through intense grief and begin your healing. And, I'm trying to get your thoughts on that. You can't just talk to anybody about this because they don't get it. They just look at you like you're nuts or something. Like to go to your pastor. They don't. I had no idea what narcissism was until 3 years ago. And once it was revealed to me, I go, man, I get it now. I see and I see how it works in her, and she uses sex to manipulate me, verbal abuse, just all kinds of stuff of that nature.
Yeah. Well, and Michael, again, I'm so sorry for the pain that you have lived with from childhood and now in your marriage. And sometimes those labels are helpful in just helping us to know, okay, we're not crazy. Yeah. Right? That our suffering is real. And we know, though, that we do marry people that have parts of them being similar to our parents, especially a parent that we have unresolved issues with. And you mentioned your mom, so that seems kind of obvious there, that you married parts of your mom. And this is where we're still trying to work out those hurts. And we stay in that kind of dependent victim child mode when we see that, oh my gosh, everything this person does is triggering me. And if they just would be different or not do that, then I wouldn't be triggered. When really the work needs to be done with us internally and healing those original wounds. And so the question I had for you is, what have you done to work on your childhood stuff?
Well, I tried to find myself a good, solid Christian counselor. I'm a disabled veteran, and I qualify for community care. But for the life of me, I have not been able to pin one down. I just have.
Well, we can certainly
not worked out.
We can certainly help you with that in our network of therapists, and find somebody that can work on your traumatic childhood experiences with you and helping you process that, so that it's not all getting reenacted with your wife. And as you shift and in your healing, it'd be interesting to see how the marriage shifts, because you've certainly invested a long time here, half a lifetime, with this person. And sometimes, even though we don't feel like we're the offender, the changes we make do affect the other person.
I think that's a really good point, Jill, because we may not be the offender, but we can also do things where we become less offended. Yes. Where it doesn't impact us as much. Yeah. Yeah.
What they're saying is, you can't change her, but you can change you. And I'd put more energy into that, to be honest, because again, we point a finger at, our spouse or whoever, and you're pointing a finger at your spouse, rightly so, she has some issues. But there's 3 fingers pointing back at you when you do that. And I would just make sure that you're taking the time and the healing, because, to be honest, your circumstance may not change with her, but your attitude and your lifestyle and the way you react can change, and that's going to make all the difference in the world. And it actually may then help your relationship with her. But regardless, I'd make sure that I was getting the soul care I need, the psychological help that you need. And there are people. I mean, make sure you stay on the line so we can give you somebody who can help you think through how to deal with that. But look at it, you chose to marry a person who is quite possibly a narcissist, and because of that, that means that your rough upbringing with your own mom, there's some stuff you can work on. And when you do that, you're going to get better regardless of what happens to the relationship and to your spouse. And frankly, a lot of times, to be honest, it does get better. But again, your circumstance may not change with her, but your attitude in life can when you get the health and healing.
Well, and sometimes we unknowingly do to ourselves what hurtful people have done to us. So when you talk about abandonment, I don't want you to abandon yourself in this process. And so by getting help, you are saying, okay, I'm going to take my younger self in and get the help that he deserved to get.
Yeah, the way I like to describe that is that the wounds and the hurts that we're carrying from our childhood create landmines inside of us. And those landmines come with tripwires.
And he's a disabled vet, so I'm sure he understands landmines.
Yes, absolutely. And so when how a person shows up in their behavior may walk through one of my tripwires that ignites my landmine. And what I assume is that the problem is the other person. And I don't really take the time to consider that the landmine is the problem.
Right.
Because when we understand that, again, I get into the specifics, that there is unhealthy relational behavior, then we can start doing the work around boundaries. Yeah, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me. I'd love to talk to you, but you can't talk to me that particular way. We start learning that language, but also we're not in this hypervigilant state of offense because of the great hurts that we're carrying in the inside. And that's what, as you guys are talking about, getting into really good trauma care and trauma recovery helps extract the landmines where we don't have so many explosions going on inside of us, and there aren't these tripwires that people can walk through.
So good.
So, Michael, we want you to stay on the line. We want you to get connected with one of our therapists that can really help do this work inside of you as you're also trying to navigate what to do about this painful marriage. And again, we thank you so much for calling in today. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back. And again, it helps us see what's underneath the hood or what's underneath the ground inside of us and what potential landmines are there. We also want to let you know that we are able to do this because of the partnership of those who donate to the ministry, those who financially partner with us, that we can be, as one of our callers said today, a counselor, free counseling to them. That this radio program is possible through the generosity of you and your partners. For those who are contributors to New Life, we thank you so much, and we are grateful for that. Another great way to be a regular part of partnering with our ministry here and the help that we provide for other people is joining our Club New Life program. And so, again, you can go online to www.newlife.com. Or as we say today, just newlife.com and donate today. And that allows us to keep doing what we do so that we can serve those that are suffering, and we can serve those by bringing hope and healing to life's hardest places. If there is a thing that you're struggling with, as I mentioned earlier today, check us out on newlife.com because we have tons of resources to get you to that next area of freedom in your life that God is calling you to. Jill, Jim, thank you guys so much for being here with me today and with the callers. And thank you all for listening to our program and being with us. Till next time, be well.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.